Troy from Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio. Welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Okay, for this repair, the tools that I did use, you're going to want a flashlight because you're going to have the unit unplugged and you're going to need light for inside the unit. I used a 1/4 inch attachment for my drill so I can remove the screws. You could use a 1/4 inch nut driver if you choose. A flat, small screwdriver. I have a small 1/4 inch ratchet that I use to raise the legs up, and my putty knife to remove the ice, and my turkey baster with hot water to melt the remaining ice in the drain pipe. Okay, today we're looking at a Maytag French door bottom freezer refrigerator. The customer's complaint is that there's ice buildup in the bottom of the freezer at the very bottom on a continuous basis that'll leak out onto the floor. With that being said, there's a couple things that can cause that, and one of the main reasons that causes that is you have a clogged drain line going from your evaporator tray to the actual drain pan under the refrigerator. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to remove everything from the freezer, remove the door, the shelves, and the back panel so we can access the evaporator area and to see what may be causing the obstruction. What I'm going to first do is take the door off and remove the shelves. So I need a 1/4 inch. With most bottom freezer refrigerators, there's going to be two screws on each side, one on the top, one on the bottom of each side. If you remove the two bottom screws and loosen the top screws, the refrigerator door should set on the hinges. Don't use the handle to remove the door. Grab by the side, lift up, and it should come right off. On this particular freezer, the shelf basically lifts out and pulls out. Some different ones have tabs on the side you must push in to lift the drawer out. Others set in little hooks. So there's a variety of different ways. You're just going to want to look at which way your actual drawer comes out. So this one looks like it just lifts right up and then comes right out for us. Now once we get that removed, the slide out shelf here, it has catches on the plastic guides on each side. So what you're going to need to do is remove the screw. There's a 1/4 inch screw on each side. You need to remove them so you can lift these up just a little bit and be able to slide the drawer out the rest of the way. These will push up, and then the drawer will be able to come out, and you just got to hold it up. Oh, this one does have a different setup. There are tabs you must push in to release the rear wheel. To do that, I personally use a flat blade screwdriver, a small flat blade screwdriver, to be able to push and lift up. I also need to remove the door glides. These door glides, excuse me, they have a couple push tabs in the back that you will push to release each side. And once you push the tab in and release, you can slide the whole metal housing, roller housing forward. Okay, well, we had removed the screws from both sides of this so we could lift up and remove the top shelf. With that screw being removed, you can lift up, slide this piece out, and swivel and it will come right out. It has basically a little hook flange on the back that slides into a very small hole back here to hold it in place. Once that one's removed, we need to now remove this panel right here. There's either going to be 2 or 3 screws down the side that you need to get in there and remove from the unit. Typically they're 1/4 inch nut screws, so we can just remove them right out. Once those screws are removed, this piece will slide right on out for you. Take off and set to the side. Inside the back of the freezer, we have a back panel that is over the evaporator that we need to remove. In order to remove this, there are a few screws, typically 4, 1 at each corner. And this particular model has a cover over the fan and has a cover over the temp sensor. The temp sensor and the cover over the fan both require a flat, smaller screwdriver to be able to depress the tabs to pull the covers off. I'm going to start with the temp sensor cover. It actually has a picture on it for the screwdriver to show you just where to put it in, and you're going to slide it in and just depress the tab and the unit should pop right out for you. For the fan cover, there's going to be a tab in the middle. It has a screwdriver picture on it. You're going to need that screwdriver to push the tab up so it'll release. And then you're going to be able to, also there's going to be 2 more spots that show screwdrivers you're going to use to put in to release those tabs as well. We've got the covers removed. Now we're going to use our 1/4 inch again to remove the 4 screws on the back panel so we can access the back of the unit. With those removed, you can see that there is an ice buildup on the tray back here, which we've got to get that ice removed. You can also see that there is ice buildup on the bottom of the freezer. For the bottom of your freezer, so you do not damage the inside, I personally will take a screwdriver. I'll use the plastic end of the screwdriver, not the metal end, the plastic end of the screwdriver, and lightly tap on the ice to make it crack and break. So then you can remove it and put it in your sink and get rid of it that way. So I tend to take a towel, lay it on the floor so I can pull the ice off, catch it in the towel, and be able to dump it in the sink. That way you don't have a watery mess on your floor and the ice is not left in the bottom of the freezer. Okay, now we got the back panel removed and we can access where the ice is. You can see that there's ice built up all the way along the drain tray under the evaporator, which in the middle here, there's a little hole knockout which allows the water to flow down into a drain pan that is under the refrigerator, that the heat from the compressor and the fan blowing on the condenser causes that water to evaporate as it goes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take just a normal sized bath towel and I lay it inside the unit just to catch any water or ice that I have fall out. And I'm going to take a putty knife and I'm not going to do much besides right under the drain pan. I'm going to use it, just move a little bit around as I move around, it's going to cause the ice to start to break free, and I can then scoop most of the ice out. As a caution, I would not use anything or do any kind of pounding or swinging of any instruments close to your evaporator. If you do and you puncture your evaporator, you are going to have major sealed system damage, and it will not be worth it for you from that point on. So I would not do any kind of swinging or any kind of tool usage on the actual evaporator. Okay, now once you removed all the visible ice that you can see, you will end up noticing that there's going to be a drain hole in the top of this little tray, as well as going through the plastic liner of the refrigerator. What I tend to do is use a glass of really hot water and a turkey baster to take hot water and apply it to the ice to melt the ice out. That's where the towel also comes in handy, because you're going to have water overflowing out onto the towel to absorb it before it reaches your floor. And all I'm doing is using hot water to blow through the drain line, so it'll slowly eventually melt the ice away, so the hole is open and allows the water to flow back through. Now, after removing the ice from the back of the freezer from the drain pan, so you can get a flow down below, you're going to also want to remove the front cover. Once you've removed the front cover, you'll see this one's wheels are all the way up off the ground, and that's because they had their tip stops, or their little stoppers down, so the unit doesn't move around. What you need to do is raise the stoppers back up so the wheels come back on the ground, so you'll be able to roll your refrigerator out. Because next we have to access the back to make sure there's no obstructions where the drain line comes through to the bottom of your drain pan. Okay, now once we got the refrigerator pulled out, next thing we're going to do is remove the screws from the back panel. So remove the back panel and take a look at where the water is draining. See if there's any clog or debris blocking the actual downspout from your drain pan in your freezer section. Okay, you may or may not be able to see from that angle, but inside this unit there is some debris that's built up down in here with some hair and that on it. I'm also going to look at a little bit higher up where the actual drain spout comes through. Make sure that it is open and not clogged with anything. And it feels as though it is okay. I'm going to get in the way of the camera for a minute so I can take a look in there a little bit better. Now this little piece right here is on the bottom of the drain tube coming out of the refrigerator. It's where the water goes through to go to your drain pan. It actually fits on the tube this way and allows water to fall out of the bottom, but dust and debris to not go back up the line. So what I wanted to do was just confirm and make sure there was nothing blocking the opening at the bottom before I put the unit completely back together. There's nothing blocking it. It appears to be fine from this standpoint. There must have or might have been debris in the actual refrigerator causing the ice to build up. So what I'm going to do is now reverse order, put everything back together. So now I'm going to put the back panel back on so I can have the unit back together behind here. I'm going to slide the unit back, re-level it, and then I'm going to proceed to put everything back into the the freezer section of the unit here. Okay, we've got the refrigerator back in place to start reassembling the front of the unit. Depending on how long your refrigerator has been in place, or depending on how level your floor may be, you may want to use glides or slides in the front to move it out so you're able to access it more easily. Right now I'm going to lower the pads back down so the unit is back secure in place. Put the bottom kick plate back on the unit. Once bottom kick plate's back on the unit, I'm going to now proceed to reassemble the inside of the unit. Alright, so now I'm going to continue my reverse order of putting back together. The back panel, when you go to put it back on, be sure to get your temp sensor replaced back through the little notch right here so that you can secure it back to the front of the unit. And the temp sensor has its own little case, and you'll see on it that it has little tabs in here that it sets down inside. You feed it through this hole, comes down and attaches right to here. Moving back to the fan cover. Again, you just got to position it in there, push it on, and the tabs will grab on. Back in position. Once we have that back in position, we're going to then reattach the slides that the drawers roll on. The top one, as when we took it apart, remember the little piece right here slides into the side of the unit and then sets back in place. Don't attach these screws yet because you need to have access to lift them up to be able to slide the top shelf back in. The next part we're going to get to is putting the bottom shelf back on. You see the teeth that it rides in. What you need to be mindful of is that when you're putting it in there, your drawer has to be on there equally at the same spot as you're sliding it on so that your drawer will shut properly and stay sealed properly. And I'll try to show you on here. If you look right here, the teeth are flat. They have a flat bottom where they've been essentially notched out. You're going to use that to put your shelf back in the glides properly. And what I tend to do is pull the drawer back out once I've slid it all the way back and just push the drawer back ever so lightly until it catches itself and shuts itself. That way you know that it is in there square. Pull the drawer back out, and what you're going to now do is apply the top shelf. Again, make sure your tabs are free to be able to be lifted up. Reattach the rollers in place. Slide the drawer back out to where it comes out all the way. Now remember to depress your covers back down all the way on each side. That makes it so the roller engages on the top, and it'll then roll and stay in place for you. You shut your bottom drawer. Remember, it does have an angle on the back, so the angle has to go in first. Your door, once again, hold it from the side. You'll see that I left the screws in at the top, so they'll hang right on their little slides. Once the door is hung, apply the bottom screws. And then tighten the top screws. Once your screws are attached, make sure the door sets and shuts itself. I have a grab there, so we are good. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.